Hello everybody, it's April 18th. I'm back here at the hive. I actually debated whether I wanted to go through the hive today because this morning it was pretty cool. Right now it's 43 and warming up. The sun just came up. I've been watching the bees for a while and they just started to fly pretty decently here. I'm in the area, so I kind of wanted to get through the hive today so I didn't have to come back. So the last week I went through and saw they were low on a pollen patty. They had gone through the one that I put in there. I didn't make it back later that week to put another one in, so I have one here in this bag to put in. I want to kind of go through this, see what the queen's doing. I put the medium super on top. Hopefully they started drawing comb. I'm hoping they did. I'd be really happy if I saw comb in that top box. Also going to check to see how they're doing with feed. I didn't bring any sugar syrup with me this week because they had barely touched what they had the last 2 weeks. So there should be a fair bit left in there. Get myself sorted out here. All right. So they are flying a little bit, and they should pick up here as the day goes on. Come on, before I smoke, I want to pop the lid on the feeder just to see what they're doing with it. Yeah, barely touched it. Okay. I expect the hive to be pretty full today, and they might be a bit grumpy because it rained last night, was overcast and cool all this morning, and I expect most of them to be in here. But we'll see. Take the inner cover off. Not sure if you're okay. In my smoker for a second. Try to get this feeder off. There are bees up in it though. Set this here. Okay. Looking at this medium that I'd put on. There's a few bees up here working. They built this comb out, so that's new. I'm gonna kind of see what they're doing here. I'm gonna go towards the middle here. Okay, we got worker bees on the frames. I can look at a few frames here. Looks like they are starting to draw a little bit. You can see it here and down in here a little bit. So it shows they're interested. My problems in previous years is they never, no matter how long I left these mediums on with different frames, they would never draw out the comb. So I bought these frames because they came recommended by a friend of mine. So we'll see how they do this year. Looks like they're drawing a little bit in here. You can see a couple spots here. So that's encouraging. We'll see how they do. So what I'll do is pop that box off, and because we're getting into the brood chamber, throw a little smoke in there. Pull this medium off. Okay. So we got pretty good coverage from here to here with bees on the top box here. So and a little smoke. Put my frame holder on the side. Actually, I'm gonna step back for a second. Photo. Okay, I've noticed there really doesn't seem to be much propolis. They haven't been laying much propolis here the last couple weeks. So I don't think the trees are quite there yet, because these frames have been pretty easy to pull out. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, nectar and sugar syrup. Get some capped honey on the side. It looks like the same nectar and sugar syrup. Put that on my frame holder. Check the first frame here. I don't know if you can see that glistening in there, but that's all nectar and sugar syrup. And you can see cells like this one here. You can tell that's sugar syrup because it's crystallized like that. So that's a good food frame there. Hard to tell, but it looks like there are eggs in these cells. Yeah, there are. So that is a good sign. That tells me the queen bee has been here and has laid eggs the last 3 days. Okay. I wonder why I turn my back towards the hive when I'm looking through the frame. It's actually the angle of the sun. It allows me to see what's going on in the cells a little better. There's a bunch of newly capped brood right here. You see how light the cappings are? I can tell they're fairly newly capped. And I can see some open brood there a little bit. There's a pretty good pattern there too. She laid that pretty solid. Bees are surprising me. I thought they'd be a little more cranky than this, but the sun has come out. Things are warming up. I think they're just anxious to get to work after being cooped up. How familiar does that sound? Pennsylvania has been under a stay-at-home order, except for essential stuff, for several weeks now. And because bees are basically considered livestock, it's essential for me to check. And see how see how this comb cappings are darker? I can tell they've been there a while. The wax darkens as it's been sitting for a while. Got some open brood there. Got some drone brood down here. You can tell those cells, those are the males. You can tell drone, they're a little bit bigger. Like here's a drone. A little bit bigger, their eyes are bigger. They can't sting. The only thing they really do is get fed by the female worker bees and go out on breeding flights to mate with other queens. And then in the fall, when the resources get low, the female workers literally kick the male drone out of the hive and leave them to starve, because at that point they're no longer essential. They're not needed. And got some capped brood and a bunch of open brood there, and some eggs. So she's been busy. The queen has been busy. There's eggs over here on this whole side's eggs. The queen, if she wants to lay a worker, she'll lay a fertilized egg. Bunch of open brood here. She wants to if she wants a worker to lay a worker, female worker, she lays a fertilized egg. If she wants to lay a drone, she lays an unfertilized egg. Capped brood that's being capped. Very young larvae. So these few have been laid full. That's a pretty good pattern of capped brood there. So far we haven't spotted the queen. This one, they're looking like they're drawing it out. See all this light comb over here? And they're filling it with nectar. Same with that side. This is all food stores over here. And I can see on that last frame they're still working on drawing it out, so I'm not going to pull it. Whoops. Okay. Put this box back together. See how they're getting a little more aggravated right now? It's because I made that sudden movement. And now, if I'm careful, they'll calm down here in a bit. Okay. There we go. Got them in. Now, I think why we're hearing them loud is those two frames were outside of the hive for a while, and they haven't been around the queen pheromone. So they're making that buzz because they're not sure where the queen is. Because I think the queen's down in the next box down. I'm going to smoke these guys down. You can hear them roar. Listen. Oh, this coverage here. Got bees all through here. Got this goofy comb going on over here. Yeah, set that in like pan. Smoke these girls down. Now, just in the corner of my eye, as I was doing that, I saw a worker bee fly off that had pink paint on her. She must have been right beside the queen when they marked the queen. Breaking up this bridge comb. I don't know if you can see. I don't want that going on. Okay. Okay. Try to pull the second frame here. And that's empty. Nothing really going on there. like food stores there. So I have to remember that if she needs more land space, I might move that frame in here. Same way with this one. It's all food stores. Bunch of cat brood there, some drone comb on the bottom. Cap there. I'm kind of going through this pretty thoroughly because the boxes are pretty full and I don't want them to get into swarming mode right now. There's the queen. Queen's right here. Still milling about right there. Okay. Now if you notice, I have far more bees bothering me right now because I'm in this box versus the other. I think because the weather's been the way it has, most of the gatherers have they're all in this bottom box. Got some closed brood, some open brood on this one. Eggs. Yeah, so I'm going through this pretty thorough. I want to make sure I don't start seeing queen cups or anything of that sort. Look at them all. All right. Bunch of germ cone at the bottom. This one has a fair bit of nectar plus brood in it. It's just laying clean out to that frame. I'm going to step back here for a second. I need to make an adjustment. And I want to grab my phone. Put that there. So I want to get a still picture. Protect my smoker. Okay, enough of that. Let's look at this last frame here. Okay, that's all. That's empty. Let's start putting this back together. And before I get too far into this, okay, so this is that empty one. I want to look. Oops, that'll get them stirred up. Okay, so that's empty. So I'm going to actually shift these around a little bit. I'm going to put this one, because the queen tends to lay in the center part of the frames here in the nest. So I want to give her plenty of space. So since they've really not done anything with this frame here, I'm going to put it here in the center. And that'll instantly give her more space where she prefers to lay. Which will help, hopefully, keep them from getting into swarm mode. Okay. Try to drop this frame in. Okay. Now the last thing I want to do is put that pollen patty on before I put this whole thing together. Smoke them down a little bit. Here's my pollen patty. I'll walk the bag over here so I don't have to chase it later. Okay. Scoop down as much as I can. Lay the pollen patty down and give them time to move out of the way. So the pollen patties I order these in, but it's a mix of pollen, obviously, and several other nutrients and stuff. The pollen provides the bees with all the protein that they need. So in these early months here, before the things really start blooming, I'm supplementing pollen here. They're bringing a little bit in, but not much. The more pollen they have, the more apter to make brood, because they feed them. They feed the larva both pollen and carbohydrates in the form of nectar. So between the sugar syrup I have on there and the pollen patty, I'm trying to keep their nutrition up here as best as I can until things really start going gangbusters as far as the flowers go. So now I'm gonna move this box back onto the hive. It's hard to do this and not squish bees. So you kind of gotta go real slow. Set the box on and then get it matched up. Okay. Whoops. And that's done. Next part is putting this medium back on. Okay, and then next I'm going to put the feeder back on. And as always, we got worker bee. I fill in the feeder. Let's save her. Got some technical difficulties going on here. I'm gonna walk back for a second, folks. Had a bee stuck. All right, my hat fell off. Now I feel like an astronaut. Got a bee stuck in my veil. And I was trying to take it out, and then my hat fell off. Put my hat back on. There we go. I didn't want to be in my veil. That would have been bad. Okay. Get this finished up. At least I didn't freak out too. But my hat fell off and it fell right in front of my face, so I couldn't see anything. All right, where'd I go? All right, get these bees off. Put this lid on, I'm going to leave the syrup here because they were working it. It's just not very much. Inner cover or telescoping cover on. Grab my things. All right, folks. Well, that about does it for today. Things look pretty good. Queensland like crazy. I did a little rearranging to give her more space instantly with a frame that they weren't doing anything with, and they haven't touched that frame in 3 weeks now, so which they tend to do with the outside frames. So I'd rather move that up and get it in use, and then maybe over time, if I keep doing that, they'll use the whole box worth of frames. Things looked a little promising with the foundation frames in the medium, the smaller boxes there. Looks like they're just starting to lay or put wax comb down. So hopefully here in the next week or two, they'll really get a good start on that. But other than that, it's looking good. The weather's supposed to improve the rest of today and be really decent tomorrow. So they should have a good rest of their weekend. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekends. And until I see you guys the next time, have a great week.